At 19, he believed the promise: easy job, high pay, bright future. 1 year later, he came back with nothing but disease, scars, and a lifetime condemned to live beside illness.
Support the truth. Don't look away.
They thought they were on their way to a new beginning. A good job in Thailand, a high salary, a fresh start. All they needed was a passport and a plane ticket. Someone would be waiting at the airport to pick them up. It sounded safe. It sounded real. But just a few hours after landing in Bangkok, things started to feel wrong. Their phones were taken, their luggage inspected, and instead of heading into the city, the van drove west toward the forests and mist-covered hills near the border with Myanmar. No one realized that the road they were on was the thin line between freedom and captivity. Across the Mesot border crossing runs a narrow steel bridge over the Moei River. On the other side lies Mayawati, a frontier town controlled by local militias. There, beyond the checkpoints and dirt roads, stand clusters of buildings wrapped in barbed wire and high concrete walls. Locals call them compounds. Outsiders call them scam cities. From afar, they look like industrial parks or business centers. Inside, they are prisons, thousands of people locked away, forced to scam others online just to stay alive. Many came from Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and China. They were promised office jobs in Bangkok, with housing and good pay. But once they crossed the border, there was no going back. Their passports were confiscated, their names erased, their messages never reached home. Only when the metal gates slammed shut behind them did they understand they had been sold. The dream of easy work, high income, dissolved into a nightmare of endless hours in cramped rooms filled with screens and cameras. Every movement watched, every word recorded. If they failed to lure victims into online scams, punishment followed: beatings, starvation, or being sold to another compound, like livestock. And it all began with a simple dream: to earn a living abroad. But for tens of thousands, that dream became a prison without walls. This is not a story of fiction. It is a true journey from Thailand to Myanmar, where the bright lights of Bangkok fade into the darkness of the border, and behind the steel gates, the cries for help are swallowed by silence. They are not gone. The world just hasn't heard them yet. It always starts the same way: with a promise. A Facebook post. A Telegram message. A friend of a friend who claims to work for a company in Thailand. The ad looks harmless. Customer service staff needed. English speakers preferred. $1,000 per month. Free flight and accommodation. For people struggling to find jobs back home, it sounds like a miracle. They chat with a recruiter online, polite, professional, even sending photos of offices with shiny desks and smiling employees. They offer to book the flight, cover the visa, even meet at the airport. Everything feels legitimate. So, they say yes. They pack their clothes, say goodbye to their families, and board the plane, believing they're heading to a better life. But from the moment they land, the script changes. Instead of meeting an HR officer, they're greeted by two men holding a sign with their names. The men take their passports for processing. The newcomers are told they'll rest overnight near the border before starting work in the morning. That night, they're driven for hours. No stops, no explanations, only darkness and the hum of tires on asphalt. By dawn, the road narrows, the phone signal disappears, and the van slows near a checkpoint, guarded by men in uniforms that don't look official. That's when fear starts to sink in. Something isn't right. The driver says, "We're almost there. Don't worry, your company is just across the river." Across the river. The last thing they see of Thailand is the sun rising over the Moei River as they cross the narrow bridge into Myanmar. Once across, the air feels heavier. Phones are taken, bags are searched. Then a gate closes behind them with a sound they will never forget. Inside the compound, it's nothing like the office they were promised. There are rows of dorm rooms, each packed with bunk beds. Security cameras on every wall. Armed guards patrol the halls. A man in plain clothes explains the rules. You work 12 to 14 hours a day. You message strangers online. You convince them to invest, to fall in love, to send money. If you refuse, you don't eat. If you try to escape, you're beaten. From this moment on, your life is no longer yours. Some cry, some shout, some go silent. But everyone understands the same truth. They have crossed into a place where the law does not reach. And for many, the only way out is to become what they once feared: a scammer themselves. Morning begins not with sunlight, but with the clang of metal doors. Guards walk through the corridor, shouting orders in a mix of Mandarin, Burmese, and broken English. Sleepy faces rise from bunk beds, dozens of people crammed into a single concrete room, their eyes dull, their bodies tense. The compound is surrounded by high walls topped with barbed wire. Every corner has a camera, every gate has a man with a gun. There are no names here, only numbers. Each worker is tagged, recorded, monitored. Breakfast arrives in plastic bowls. Rice, water, and sometimes an egg. There is no talking during meals. The moment they finish, the workers are herded into narrow rooms lined with computers. This is their battlefield. Rows of desks stretch across the floor, each with a phone, a screen, and a headset. Supervisors pace behind them, watching the chat logs in real time. Their job is simple: find victims online through dating apps, trading forums, or social media. Start a conversation, pretend to care, build trust. Then, guide the target toward a fake investment platform. Every word is scripted, every emotion is rehearsed. The workers are forced to act to play the role of lovers, investors, or mentors. It's not just fraud, it's psychological warfare. And if they don't hit their daily quota, punishment follows. Sometimes it's food deprivation. Sometimes it's beatings. Sometimes they're sold to another compound for failing to perform. In one corner, a young man from Vietnam whispers to a new arrival, "I was sold 3 times already." His face is bruised, his hands tremble on the keyboard. He hasn't spoken to his family in months. He doesn't even know which country he's in anymore. The guards call this place the office, but the people inside call it the cage. At night, when the lights finally dim, they lie awake, listening. To the sound of footsteps, to the hum of generators, to the cries muffled by walls. Some pray for rescue, some plan escape, a few try. Almost none succeed. If they're caught, they're dragged to the basement, a dark room everyone fears. There, screams echo for hours. Afterward, silence returns, heavy and absolute. Yet even in the darkness, hope refuses to die. Whispers spread rumors of raids, of people rescued, of friends who made it out alive. No one knows if the stories are true, but they cling to them anyway. Because in a place built on lies, hope is the only thing that still feels real. Behind every wall, every armed guard, and every terrified worker, there is something much bigger, an invisible machine made of greed, power, and silence. These compounds are not random hideouts. They are part of a vast criminal economy stretching across borders from China and Thailand to Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. And at the heart of it all lies one simple motive: money. Each scam center can generate millions of dollars every month. Every chat, every fake romance, every investment opportunity leads to real victims, people around the world losing their savings. The workers inside are not the masterminds, they are prisoners forced to commit crimes for survival. But the real bosses, the ones counting the profits, never set foot inside these walls. They sit in luxury apartments in Bangkok, Phnom Penh, or Dubai. They use cryptocurrency to move their money fast, silent, untraceable. They buy protection from corrupt officials and militias who guard their compounds in exchange for a cut of the profit. In Mayawati, one of the most notorious areas, scam operations thrive under the control of armed groups allied with the Myanmar military. The compounds like KK Park or Shwe Kokko are practically cities of their own, complete with hotels, casinos, and private security. Electricity and internet connections are supplied across the border from Thailand. It's an entire ecosystem built on exploitation. When Myanmar's government faces international pressure, they promise to investigate. But investigations stall, files disappear. Some officials who visit the compounds end up taking bribes instead of shutting them down. The trade is too profitable to die. For every compound that gets raided, 2 more open somewhere else. The names change, the signs change, but the system remains the same. And it doesn't just hurt the people inside. It poisons entire economies, billions laundered through fake trading platforms, crypto wallets, and shell companies. It destroys lives thousands of miles away, retirees in Canada, engineers in London, students in Singapore, all caught in webs spun from inside these concrete cages. The men who run this empire understand one thing: chaos is good for business. Borders full of conflict, governments distracted, people desperate for work, it's the perfect cover. So, the scams continue. The money flows. And in the shadows of Southeast Asia, an entire underworld grows richer while the world looks away. But even the most powerful systems leave traces. And somewhere, beyond the fear and the smoke, people are beginning to fight back. For months, sometimes years, their voices went unheard. Families back home stopped receiving calls. Messages never arrived. Some thought their loved ones had simply disappeared. But slowly, the truth began to surface. A few managed to escape, slipping out during night shifts, swimming across the river, or finding help from locals who risked their lives to hide them. They brought with them stories that sounded too terrible to believe. Thousands trapped in guarded cities, beaten, sold, starved, forced to scam strangers across the world. But when the survivors showed photos, bruises, and chat logs, authorities could no longer deny it. In early 2024, Thailand began tightening its borders. Police in Mae Sot started cutting electricity and internet lines, feeding into Myanmar's scam hubs. Across the river, the compound lights dimmed for the first time. The silence was brief, but it was the beginning. Then came the raids. Myanmar forces, under international pressure, stormed the biggest sites, KK Park, Shwe Kokko, and Saixigang. Gunfire echoed through the valley. Thousands were freed, pale, trembling, some too weak to walk. When asked where they were from, many could only whisper, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand. They have forgotten how long they'd been gone. But even as the headlines declared rescues, many networks simply moved deeper into the jungle, building new compounds under new names. It's a cycle: rescue, rebuild, repeat. And behind every operation, someone still profits. The survivors now speak in hushed voices. They talk about nights of hunger, about the sound of doors locking, about the moment they realized freedom wasn't free, it had to be taken back. Some return home carrying guilt for crimes they were forced to commit. Some can't sleep without hearing the alarms. Some still dream of the river, the one they crossed twice, wants to be enslaved, wants to be free. But their stories matter. Because every time one person tells the truth, the walls of silence crack a little more. Governments are now exchanging intelligence. Interpol tracks cryptocurrency wallets. Human rights groups document every raid, every name, every scar. It's a slow fight, but a real one. And for those still trapped behind the gates, hope travels faster than money. One message, one headline, one video. It's enough to remind them that someone out there still cares. This isn't just a story about crime. It's a story about people, about the price of trust, the cost of silence, and the strength it takes to survive the darkest places on Earth. Because in the end, every scam, every lie, every wall can be broken. When truth finally finds its way across the river,